Ember Witch. Book 1. The Lich. Volume 1. Black Tragedy. Chapter 4. Black Tragedy. September 19, 459 BME to October 31, 461 BME. Fragment 45. Cracked.
Aries, are you ready? We have to get going,
Eve said, putting pressure on Aries that she didn't want to deal with.
Yes, I'm ready. Why do we have to leave? You never even told me where you are taking me.
Aries said back, frustrated and annoyed.
It doesn't matter if I told you or not. I am your mother and you will do as you're told,
Eve said, pulling her bag up into the cart.
Your sister will be watching the house while we are out, so don't worry about anything, just get on the cart,
she continued and gestured in a hurry towards the cart. Aries flashed her color softly into the morning air. She wasn't sure if Syrya was close enough to sense her or not, but she was having such a bad feeling about this trip. Her mother rushed her to pack a bag this morning and had been in a horrible mood since.
Stop,
Eve yelled as she saw Aries glowing a deep purple.
What is your problem?
Aries yelled back.
If you don't get your ass in the cart now, I will smack you,
Eve replied with a massive evil cowl. Aries stood there defiant and shook her head.
I'm not going anywhere with you,
she said, and was immediately hit in the face with the back of her mother's hand.
Listen, Aries, I don't give a fuck that you have magic, I don't care that you have been spending all your time with that whore elf, and I don't care that you are no longer a child. You will obey every word I say,
Eve said, spitting out each final word with intense anger and authority. Aries, now with tears in her eyes, stepped onto the cart and sat down. They rode for a few hours before Aries knew where they were headed.
We are going to Branwatch? What in the void is in Branwatch that is so important you had to drag me here on a whim?
Aries asked, still fuming from being smacked.
A friend has assured me that she can take care of our little issue,
Eve replied, keeping her eyes forward on the road. Aries knew this wasn't going to end well, but she was already stuck. They reached the small town and rode through the streets until they got to a small inn. Eve got off the cart and walked inside while Aries followed. There were 7 people sitting around the small entrance. Each looked rough and worn down, like they had been working in a mine for the past 10 years. They made their way into a room towards the back of the inn. Alone in the corner sat the only non-human in the entire building. The moment Aries laid eyes on the Firen, she knew exactly who she was.
You arrived rather early,
Vera said calmly, without showing whether she cared or not that they even came.
I would rather be early to this than late,
Eve replied and pulled the gemstone out of her pocket along with a knife.
Okay, it's time to talk. What the fuck is going on?
Aries said, standing up from the table in rage.
Aries. I am helping your mother understand and contain the power you hold. The mage you have been in contact with is lying to you. She has been using your family for her own selfish purposes and game. I am here to help your family get rid of your nightmares for good.
Vera began, but Aries exploded.
Are you fucking kidding me? You expect me to go along with this? You expect me to accept the help from her? The woman who killed Syrya's family and nearly killed her. Fuck that and fuck you.
Aries screamed, slamming her hands on the table.
I told you she wouldn't accept this, Vera. I told you she was going to fight this,
Eve said.
Calm down, Aries. All I need is a little blood. That's it, nothing more,
Vera replied, as she eyed the young girl.
And what are you going to do with my blood?
Aries asked, still furious.
I'm going to make a potion that if drunk will get rid of your nightmares,
Vera replied, gesturing for her to sit down.
Bullshit. If Syrya can't figure it out, what makes you think that you can?
Aries shot out.
Elven mages refuse to see the truth. There are 3 types of magic, not just color,
Vera replied and gestured towards her bag.
Would you mind if I got into my bag? I'm not here to fight, so it's no weapon but a book I'd like to show you.
Vera continued and Aries sat down, then nodded. Vera pulled a large black book from her bag and placed it on the table.
This book details the history of necromantic magics, specifically those related to Mar the god dragon of death and Vera the forgotten goddess. These magics describe nightmares and other dream-manipulating spells as visions from the gods. Not the gods of the Elven Church but the gods that reside over death.
Vera explained, opening the book and pointing out various passages and symbols within its pages.
So you expect me to believe that we are seeing visions from a dragon? A mythical creature that nerds use in their tabletop games? Sure, and I bet you'll tell me that unicorns are real too. Oh, what about a genie in a lamp that will grant me 3 wishes? Fucking seriously, Mom, you of all people believing in this makes me sick. She's obviously trying to trick you into giving me to her. I'm a mage-born human. Do you have any idea how rare I am? How many people like me have been hunted and killed because of what I am?
Aries said, trying not to raise her voice over the crowd of people talking in the front of the inn.
Aries, you have to understand something. Syrya used us. She used you to make Lilith impure. She used your sister for sex and tossed her aside. She stole my necklace and used her magic to hurt us. She is a bad person and cannot be trusted,
Eve stated, and Aries balled her fists.
You are such a bitch,
Aries said quietly, which caused her mother to slap her across the face again as she screamed.
Don't you ever speak to me like that again.
Vera sat back, just absorbing the drama before her. She couldn't care less about Aries being a mage. The humans were already in the pocket of the Elven, and no doubt Syrya had placed all sorts of propaganda into her mind over the years. All she was concerned with was taking out the king and pleasing the wishes of Vera. After those first few conversations she had with the dark goddess, she had finally understood what Hana was trying to teach her all those years ago. She knew that necromancy was far more than just dark magic. Even after destroying the Blood Blade, keeping the Firen from being wiped from the face of the planet, Vera had begun to see necromancy in a different light. She finally understood why Hana had given her life to it. Syrya had waited for hours before she realized that Aries wasn't coming back with the gemstone. She made her way to the Black family house, regretting ever letting Aries leave their camp, and lightly tapped on the door. Moments later, Lilith opened the door and was surprised to see the beautiful elven woman before her. Embarrassed that she was wearing a baggy shirt that hung off of one shoulder, exposing the other, and nothing else, she led Syrya inside before anyone saw.
I didn't mean to interrupt anything, I just wanted to check in on your sister,
Syrya said after a moment of awkward silence.
She left with my mom hours ago. No idea where they are off to, but I could care less right now,
Lilith replied, turning to Syrya and looking her over with a deep stare.
Oh, did your mother say when she would be back?
Syrya asked awkwardly, now feeling the eyes of the young woman in front of her. Lilith stepped up slowly and placed a hand on the reddish-skinned woman's face and the other on a breast.
It doesn't matter, I have you all to myself now.
Then pressed her lips against Syrya's. They kissed for what felt like hours. Their faces turned red and they began to feel hot. Lilith moved her hand from a breast to Syrya's pelvis. She slammed her against the wall, slid her hand into Syrya's pants, and began fingering her. Syrya, not expecting any of this, was powerless to fight it. She knew it shouldn't be happening. She knew it was wrong. After a moment she gave in and allowed Lilith to ravage her.
You spend all your time locked away in your room praying to demons instead of spending your time with your children,
Aries said angrily to her mother. The two had been fighting for the past hour, and Vera was finally at her limit.
If you two don't shut your mouths, neither of you are going to get any closer to solving your problem. Give me a bit of blood and you can be on your way,
she said, grabbing the knife from the table.
Fine, take it.
Aries spat and held out her palm. Vera sliced a line into her palm, then grabbed a bottle from her cloak pocket and gathered a sizable amount of blood. She corked the bottle and placed it back in her pocket.
Now was that so hard?
Vera said with a snarky tone. Aries stood from the table and walked out the door. Aries was avoiding the road as much as possible. She knew her mother would be looking for her, and she didn't want to deal with her right now.
You really don't know how to cover your tracks, do you?
Vera asked as she approached from behind.
I wasn't trying to hide from you but from my mom,
Aries said, not turning around. Vera stood still, just watching the girl walk slowly from her.
Are you proud of what you've done? You murder and attack people who don't deserve it. How can you live with yourself?
Aries asked after finally reaching a stop.
I didn't sleep well for the first few months. I wanted to kill myself for the first few years, then I got over it and realized that everyone dies, and if I can have a hand in extending my life by killing others, then fine.
Vera replied as a small breeze blew through the trees and several leaves fell to the ground around the two.
I've abandoned my guild. I am no longer an assassin, instead I live my life through Mar and Vera, the true gods. The gods that control death.
Vera lied in hopes it would ease the girl.
I don't care if you're no longer an assassin. Just giving up a title can't redeem you from the sins you have committed. Murder isn't something you can just pray away.
Aries replied.
I see that you are still not convinced. You will learn in time,
Vera said and turned around, then disappeared into the trees. Vera reached the inn and Eve was still sitting there at the table reading the book she had left.
You're sure this is going to work?
Vera asked and set the bottle of blood next to the book.
Our queen has everything planned, of course it's going to work,
Eve answered. After questioning Lilith more about where her mother and sister went, Syrya had decided to make her way to the town hall. She had to inform Haith and Luke of her progress. She worried as she moved across the town, her mind racing over the possibilities of what had happened to her student. She reached the door only to run into a young woman who instantly recognized her.
I thought this letter was a joke at first,
she said as she handed Syrya the wax-sealed paper. Without hesitation, she tore it open and her heart sank. She read it over several times, then sprinted back to her camp. Aries had been wandering in the woods as she made her way back to Ashwood. She refused to return home with her mother, so instead of returning back to the inn, she decided to walk the entire distance. She would return to Syrya and inform her of the situation. However, as she got closer and closer to her home, she began to smell the stench of death. She first thought it was an animal that had died recently, but after extending her color deeper into the trees, she felt something wrong. She followed the presence for some time before she realized what it was. She approached cautiously and conjured 3 darts of purple energy above her. The walking corpse was stumbling across the small clearing, chained and bound by a collar around its neck. She watched for a moment before she flung the 3 darts into it. The darts impacted into the rotted flesh, sunk and then exploded, causing the body to fly apart and splatter onto the ground. Aries knew what this meant. Her mother and Vera had successfully raised a zombie and were probably planning on raising more. Whatever her mother was planning, she needed to stop it.